Justice for Crystal! It is no secret that I've been critical of season 18. The storylines have been cloudy, the season is full of misdirections, a lot of challenge design hasn't been my favorite. I feel like production is phoning it in purposefully so that the older cast looks boring and gives them an excuse to keep pulling from this younger casting pool going forward. This episode was easily the best of all of them so far for a plethora of reasons that we will get into. But addressing the elephant in the room, I am wearing a hat. Also, I lost my voice because I was sick a couple of days ago. I'm feeling okay, but this is gone, so we ball. Last week, I compared season 18 to season 11. A season where it came across like the producers didn't really know what they were doing with it until about the midpoint, and from there, everything really came into focus. As soon as that sorry not sorry lip sync happened, they knew exactly what they were doing. They knew which characters to focus on, they knew which characters they didn't like anymore, and they knew how to navigate each one of the challenges with these players in them. And season 18 preemptively felt a lot like that. Like they were sort of just making it up as they were going. I think it might be following a similar trajectory of 11, and I think these last couple episodes are going to knock it out of the park. Also, the fatigue was fully broken this week, with Jane fully creating a 15th queen. And then we also saw Darlene later on pull out her box of lady wigs, and the whole room got so much energy from just walking around, feeling like. Hi, hello everyone, my name is Jer, and you better not have a box of 800 safety pins when I get there. Today's drink is just a lot of cherry coke and 4 cherries. I know that Hormona was fuming to find out that nobody was breathing down Discord's back, forcing her to remove all those safety pins like Lexi did to her. But honestly, it fueled me when the girls aired all that out in front of RuPaul. Today we are talking about Drag Race Season 18, Episode 10, Drag in a Bag. Girl, who named this? Drag in a suitcase doesn't quite roll off the tongue. A bag? Alternative title, drag me downs. You know, like drag hand me downs. It has come to my attention that a lot of y'all have absolutely no idea that I'm also a gaming streamer. In 2 weeks, I'm gonna be playing more Pocopia and Resident Evil Requiem on Twitch. My links are below. I am taking next week off so that I can have a little bit of rest time, but I'll be back in 2 weeks. A couple folks have come over from YouTube and been like, I had no idea that you streamed until I followed your Twitter. I also want to thank all of my new patrons. Thank you so much for supporting that page. This week, the queens are tasked with one of the coolest design challenges that I have seen in mainline. I gave huge praise to Drag Race UK versus the World for the way they navigated the hand-me-down challenge, where the queens had to bring something archival from their original run on Drag Race so that it could be redone on Versus the World. I loved that concept. Pre-show, the queens were asked to bring supplemental fabric for a challenge, but were specifically told to do nothing with it. And from what I saw from Briar Blush, most of them assumed that because they were told not to do anything with these, that they were meant to be given to another queen in the room. So a lot of them thought, well, I'm not gonna put a lot of time into this. There's a gigantic bug over here. Ugh. I got it. I think what could be fun in a future challenge is ask them to bring something that is their signature drag that is meant to be redesigned on the show, and then they have to swap with someone else. Anyways, I thought this was really fun, but I do have a couple complaints. Who's surprised? This challenge was lit and the entire room stepped their pussies up. Even Michelle wasn't totally convinced that Kenya didn't get help from someone. Maybe they all got a good rest the night before, maybe this challenge happened over the weekend. Whatever the situation was, they all really stepped it up. This challenge resulted in a very deserved celebratory top 2 because really there were no flops except for Discord breaking the rules, but the look was still solid. We got the returning queen fake out. I thought maybe all of them are gonna come back. We were gonna get the season 7 makeover challenge. I was big hyped, only to kind of be let down like an edging session where you don't finish. But I do kind of love that nobody went home. It's almost an homage to the typical format where someone does go home and someone returns to the competition, thus keeping the queen competing number exactly the same as it was when the episode started. It subverts expectations in kind of an interesting way in that regard. Here's my struggle point before I get into my ranking. What do I put more weight on? I think the importance of design challenge always goes in this order. Styling. How well did you put your piece together, including hair and shoes and accessories? Intent. Where the hell is this garment going? Are you going to the mall? Are you going to the park? Are you going to an award show? Are you gonna go bottom and drag? And then construction. How well did you actually put it together? But then There are other factors like surprise. In the case of Kenya, who literally bombed both design challenges previously, and then working it out so fiercely in this one, there's an element of surprise, a wow factor. And then there's a factor like resourcefulness, which is so key for a drag queen to have. And that in the case of Jane Don't, who was able to forage a bunch of scraps together and then create her own textile. Like scraps, like actual scraps. Because it takes a great eye to understand what will pair well together in a situation like this. And here's my thing, I like Jane Don't, I really do. But I don't like how hard she's being pushed since week 1. That's not her fault, but it leaves me as an audience member a little frustrated. I think a lot of her high placements could have been justified safe positions, and she's being pushed to this Olympian god level of competitor, I think so that we'll lose our shit when she eventually gets eliminated at like top 5. This week, while I think that she exemplified the true nature of what drag is, which is to think on your feet and be resourceful, something that every queen should have in their toupee, and I do think that she deserved a top placement for it, it frustrates me because she's had so many other tops. And also she's been high throughout a lot of the competition. Like, she did the thing for me. She earned her high placement. And I know a lot of fans are absolutely mauling over the fact that she has gotten so many high positions. The best track record, arguably in Drag Race history, but I think a lot of you would agree with me that we kind of want to see some other divas get their flowers. And I really wish that the judges would turn up to every one of the queens individually, as they typically single out one competitor and just live, laugh, love everything they do. Anyway, with all that out of the way, let's get into these placements. My first placement goes to, the question remains, can you please her? Again, she's here for the surprise element. She has been in the bottom on both other design challenges. She has not been connecting to the competition or these challenges very well since literally week 1. And she actually found her groove last week and she's been killing it. I love to see this underdog story play out in a way that is so not forced. A lot of times they'll play out this underdog story by the judges giving these BS critiques to someone because they're trying to craft an underdog story. But Kenya's been struggling 100% on her own without production helping her in that struggle bus. Even if production has been involved a couple of times in continuing her trajectory in the competition, her being someone who is not really good at the competition and then finding where her placement is cool to see. She picked Vita's luggage, and what a good call that was because Vita packed this gorgeous red sequin. The runway theme is called
Party.
Any party. Pick a party, any party. And I love how open-ended that was, but I was hoping we would have seen something a little sillier like Democratic Party. They gave Courtney that stupid-ass Republican party back in season 6. Like, let's do something better than that. Kenya's vision for her party was a disco route. And when she said that, I audibly screamed, "No, you've made the wrong decision!" I flashed back to Jackie, Heidi, Silky, and so many other queens that have done disco as their source of inspiration for their runway looks, and Rue hated it because it was not to her perfect specifications. She just has one Soul Train reference in her head, and anything outside of that just does not mesh. This garment and the fit is immaculate. Those bell bottoms flare and hit the floor. Sequin is very difficult to sew if you don't know what you're doing, and a lot of people have broken many a needle trying to sew through sequin, especially machines that they give them at Drag Race are not very good. And her being able to make that trim on that neckline also takes an incredible amount of skill. I love those puff sleeves. I'm obsessed with this gold cuff bangle situation. It is not only constructed well, it's also styled well, and the intent is very solidly there. She worked it out, and I could not believe that she made this. When she leaned forward and said, "Michelle, I didn't get any help." Ooh, that was Divalicious Diva. Top tier slave for Kenya. And she won this for me because of that element of surprise. The bar was in hell, and she worked it out way better than I expected her to. Rue asked the question tonight, who should go home? And why should they? Kenya says Discord because she could have used different fabrics, and I agree with that. 1 point for Discord. My second position is so hard. Ooh. I'm gonna be so boring and I'm gonna agree with the judges. Some teach, some do anal, but Jane don't. Jane is feeling like this week she's now on the right track, and I think she has been all season on this right track. It's just she's doubted herself through a lot of the competition. And that moment where she was talking with Rue about how she just doesn't see herself in this positive light all the time, I think opened up a lot of doors into her inner psyche, and I think allowed Rue to connect with her just a little bit more. I was surprised as well that I didn't laugh more at her reading challenge reads. I thought she'd be funnier, but I don't really remember any of them, and I didn't write them down because they didn't stick. She chooses Sierra Mist's box thinking that it would be really good stuff, but got absolutely sabotaged. Honestly, the fact that production took a bunch of fabric that had punctures in them was a miss, a huge, gigantic miss, and it actually makes me mad. It displays a level of malicious gay that I cannot abide by. Someone took that, laughing, thinking, oh my god, this is so tea. Rue's gonna gag at this when she finds out that one of these queens has a bolt of fabric with a gigantic circle skirt cut out of it. And not seeing how much of a very clearly obvious problem it is that in a competition that pretends to be fair, that it's not. Anyone who thinks this is a competition show in 2026 needs to seriously evaluate this moment, because that was reality TV. Anyways, Jane describing the Black Eyed Peas as if that's the sacred text was frying me. On the runway, she is inspired by going to a Grammys after party. Initially, I was kind of worried because she got cocked in a way that was tantamount to Adore getting spaghetti in season 6. I adore the shoulders that she made. The applique is super impressive. It's constructed extremely well, and I have to echo what I've already said a couple times before. She was resourceful, and that's a skill you either have or you don't. How do you turn something that is crap and turn it into couture? My only issue, and this is maybe a big issue, I don't know, maybe this does put her lower. It's essentially a long version of what she already made in week 1. Silhouette, very similar. Shape on the shoulders, very similar. And it's a more tailored version of what she made in week 4. I don't understand why the judges will go in on people like Kimmy Couture or Vanjie with her red, queens at all who have a familiar silhouette, and they'll be like, you already did this. But then their front runner does it and they're like, huh? We don't know who that is. She didn't do that again. For me, that doesn't show a lot of creativity. However, I think the bulk of her points go to how resourceful she was, because I think if anybody else got all those remnant fabrics, I think they would freak out and we would have gotten a bikini. And they would have been like, sorry. It is a major slay. For the question, Jane also says discord because, and I quote, not every safety pin is holding the dress together. Goop. That's 2 for discord. In my 3rd position is Nene, Coco, Chanel, Iman LePage. I'm gonna keep adding words to her name until someone notices. She picked Didi Fuego's box, and low-key, if this was Didi's fashion taste, I wish we saw more of it. My tip gets wet to prints on solids. Wet. And I am wild for this tacky Sims wallpaper on that orange creamsicle. It's chic, it's fashion forward, it's super Met Gala, and the construction of those pieces is beyond impressive. I love the styling of that high pony. Nene does something for me while she's in drag, and I'm obsessed with her packaging. I just wish that I knew more about her character, because I really don't know who she is. She's getting the mysterious girly edit, the one who is just kind of good at challenges but doesn't really give a lot, and then the girls talk about her every now and again, but it's in a way that we're not really clued into why they feel that way about her. And of all of them that got the who are you question, I am gooped that it was not Nene and that it was Juicy, because I know a lot about Juicy. I know a lot about her character and her persona. I know nothing about Nene other than she's got a mug. Who is she other than a cute boy who's also a hot girl? On the runway, she's going for this fashion week post-show garden party. I totally see it. It's got an editorial look, but it has super strong movement. Slays all around. For the question, she also says Discord's a name. That's 3 for Discord for anyone keeping count. In my 4th position is Darlene Mitchell, the trade of the season. My favorite story beat this week was when she pulled out those pussy lady wigs. And the whole workroom just went wild on them. Darlene is such a delight, and I love how bright she is as a personality. She was heavily getting that I need a win storyline, and that made me nervous, thinking, oh my god, she's gonna be eliminated. I think what held her back just a little bit from the win is that while her look was stellar.com, the others pushed it just a little bit further than she did. But to be fair, she chose Athena's box thinking that it would be fierce, because Athena's supposed to be this big mother of drag, and then she got 12 yards of non-stretch zebra. That's nuts. I do love how she manipulated these materials, stuffing them gave them a lot of great structure. She said she was going to a VMAs after party, and I'll be honest, I don't see VMAs at all. To me, it's very CMA Awards meets like prom in the 80s. That's not a bad reference, but it was not VMA to me. I'm obsessed with that heavy dark eyebrow for this look. That was super slay. She looks hot though. Make no mistake. I just did not get the reference point. I also wish that it had a train or something in the back. It needed a bit of volume, so that bottom dragging off of her was a little bit more of a spectacle, do you know what I mean? The prior 3 looks were a spectacle, and this would be a quick scroll on the award show website where it's like, oh, she looks ravishing. It is a hot slay though. For the question, she also says Discord should go, since Discord doesn't have a win. But that's also kind of shaky logic because Darlene also doesn't have a win. So if Discord should be in the bottom for that reason, then Darlene should too, yeah? And before I was certain they were gonna do a celebratory top 2, I thought they were gonna pull that and put both of them in the bottom. And I thought that would be the justification. Well, neither one of you have a win, and this was such a great week, so it's coming down to splitting hairs. I would have been pissed about that, I won't lie, but I thought that's where it might have gone. In my 5th position is Juicy, who looked sexy as hell in her Miami Beach party look. It is very puss. She picked Mia's box, saying later that she chose specifically not to pick Athena's because she knew that was gonna sabotage someone. She knows who her mother is. And she was not about to step in that pool. I love this massive wig on her. This style is perfection. It's very much giving a ginger version of her Michelle character from RDR. And I think if she does not staple this wig to her head permanently, I'll be upset. It looks great on her. I will say, Rue asked her for body this week. Like, specifically asked her for a body. And she gave her typical Debbie snack cake tits. It could have gone a lot further. It is a slay regardless. It's a cute shape. I like the way that she transformed those materials into a new silhouette for Juicy, one that we haven't seen. Very new for Lana T. And I truly cannot believe that these gorgeous, beautiful materials came from Mia's box of all people. This week in the mini challenge, Juicy is proof that some children were left behind when George W. Bush destroyed our education system. This week, her story was pretty heavy about her being the only one left from her drag family still in the competition. And Nene hit it kind of on the head. Don't worry about the expectations of others. Just do you. But I have to wonder, is this what her entire story buildup was? Forcing her to be independent? Like Drag Race eliminated Mia and then Athena in succession so that Juicy could get this little birdie tossed out of the nest storyline. It can't be. That's unbelievable if that's what they were aiming for. During the question, Juicy spills the tea about the safety pins and I gagged. You could see her holding her breath like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm just thinking about it. I'm not gonna do it. Girl, I did it. The thing is, the producers know everything that's going on in that room. They know when someone's breaking the rules, and they regularly report these things to Ruth Palula. And so she knows what's happening in the workroom. Whenever Ruth says, a little birdie told me, that was her earpiece. And those producers are always in it. My question is, would Rue have ever brought this up on her own, or would this have gotten swept under the rug since Discord is Rue's favorite oddball right now? I personally am very inclined to believe that Rue would have kept her mouth shut. She was gonna sit on that information and just let it stew. Never bring it up unless it was brought up. This is an unfair competition. It is reality TV first. I am willing to bet that Rue is gonna let it fly, see if it festered and if the girls wanted to fess up about it, or if they were just gonna seethe and let some animosity build, since last week, all their storyline was about how Discord should have gone home. And then this week, it was all about Discord should have gone home. I think that Rue lives for the mess and wanted to know what would happen if she just didn't say anything, because Rue could have said something, so Juicy didn't have to. That's 5 for Discord if anyone's counting. In my 6th position is Mikey Meeks with Briar's box going for an après-ski party concept. Now, while I don't believe anyone did technically bad with constructing this week for their looks, and I do think this was well made. Is it bad? I just don't like it. It's not even really her fault with textiles like she was given. It's Briar's fault. But also, Mikey has this problem in the design challenges, and she's had this with both of the prior ones, where instead of manipulating or hiding certain ugly materials that she's given, she highlights the problems and she makes sure that we see them. Making this blue concha iridescent fabric the focal point, I think, is where this outfit kind of lost the plot because it doesn't have the most refined fashion eye. I love a dress on a bodysuit. I love that she made 50 pieces because why the hell not? You can, so do it. It's very well made, it's just not pretty. I know it's supposed to be ski party, and those bitches—
oh, wait a minute, bitches
are bundled up. I just wish that there was more skin to break up all this blueberry and navy because it's such a heavy, dark color and there's nothing to disrupt that. It's a soft slay because it is very well made, and if you put this into other fabrics, it would be great. And it's not her fault that Briar didn't put any thought into this assignment. Mikey did win the reading challenge, but I don't really remember anything that she said. I didn't write any of it down. During the question, she also says Discord's name, and she says for track record purposes. That's 6 for Discord. And in my last position is Discord Adams. Now, normally I feel bad when a girl gets dogpiled during the who should go home tonight and why. However, I think it was totally valid that her name was said tonight because she low-key broke the rules, and I think her time expired last week too. I just don't know what more she can offer that she hasn't done already. I do love how awkwardly entertaining she is. I think that she's got a fun personality, but I don't really get a lot of lore outside of that from her. The girls even start this week saying that they thought it was her time to go, and that frustration carries all the way to the end of the episode and will probably bleed into next week as well. Safety pin gate is going to continue to fester, I think. In the reading challenge, she was one of the only girls that I wrote something down for because I giggled so hard at her joke to Juicy. This is what happens when you dismantle the Department of Education. That was so funny, and there was not a chuckle. Not one. Discord did not get to choose a suitcase. She was left with Mandy's material, which was full of yellow fabric that never made it to this look. When Rue gave her that runway tutorial, it made me wish that every season, maybe in episode 1 or 2, they had a runway coach like a Raja come in and teach them how to catwalk. I think that would be so fun. And it would kind of harken back to old Top Model, where they would get these mini challenge assignments where they were taught a practical skill that would bleed into whatever the challenge proper was. And I think it would be insanely helpful for queens like Discord who struggle with their walk. The most interesting part of Discord's narrative this week was when she's shown specifically saying that she's not supposed to use safety pins as embellishment and that they were only allowed to use materials as intended. It was very much giving when your parents ask you to repeat what chores you're supposed to do after dinner so that when you don't do them, they can walk in your room like, and what did you not do after dinner? And then you have to be like, oh, I wasn't supposed to take out the garbage, sorry. Her runway look is made with an end of the world party in mind. It's extremely high fashion, and I'm sort of obsessed with this punk rock concept of taking pieces of frayed fabric, holding them together with safety pins. I think it's very fun, but I'm left with the question, where did any of this fabric come from? It looks like remnants from her Cher look. Maybe there were yards of that black that were in there, but all they showed us from her suitcase was Mandy's yellow sequin material, a chiffon of some kind, and a yellow zipper. I don't see any black in there. So either that was pulled out before they showed us that shot, and I don't know why they would do that, or it was from somewhere else. Somehow, I don't see Mademoiselle Mango bringing that particular intensity of black to the competition. I don't see her bringing that fabric to Drag Race. And there is absolutely no way in God's green earth that Discord was able to dye all of those fabrics into a black without production making a gigantic story about how ambitious she was being. No way. The look is super cool. I will say I like it when I take the challenge out of what this material is. But when the challenge is take this stuff and make something from it, you do that. You don't go into Snatch Game and decide you're gonna play checkers. You don't go into a dance challenge and decide you're gonna act and do a monologue. When you do something like this, your dress should be ripped off your body like Cinderella, and you should be sent out to the runway wearing your boots and undergarments and your wig, standing out there shivering in front of RuPaul with no clothes on, and when Ru says, "Why are you naked on my runway?" some producer shuffles out with a clipboard and says, "Sorry, Ru, she actually didn't use any of the fabrics from her bag, she actually bought it from home." And not that dramatically, I'm exaggerating, divas and dolls. But seriously, this is an egregious error of production to do not a thing about it, in the same way that it was an egregious error to take that fabric from Sierra Mist and let Jane have it with all of the problems that were there, even with hot glue on some of those pieces of fabric. Anyways, I don't want to sit on this much longer. It's a super duper slay of a look, but for the brief, it's a chalk, because those safety pins were not in Mandy's box. For the question, Discord says Darlene because she also doesn't have a win yet. I think that's super valid. So for anyone counting, that's 6 for Discord and 1 for Darlene. These queens all these years later hate answering the question, but I wish that one of them would just embrace the TV of it all, pull a full Lux and read the dog out of everyone. Give me that drama. After deliberation, Jane and Kenya are called as the top 2 and have to lip sync for the win. I was very happy that this was a celebratory top 2 week because it was so deserved. When you have to split hairs so fiercely just to figure out who maybe is the bottom queen, you're forcing a bottom placement to happen and it doesn't need to. And they have to lip sync to Feels Like Another One by Patti LaBelle. They both had a lot of power and presence. Kenya was feeling the energy of that song, and she has come so far from those bad moments she had earlier. She should be super proud of the work that she's done. I've been a fan of her the last couple weeks, and it's nice to see her star rising. She said she was imagining eating a patty pie while lip syncing. And you know what? That was Can I also say, this was the best lip sync of all season. Jane was keeping up well with Kenya's power. She was overall a really good time to watch. I think this easily could have been won by both of them, but I do think this was Kenya's win week. She has had all of these bottom placements, being kind of the fool of the season. She got this devastating career-ending read from Michelle that she needed to learn how to lip sync, and she's just been fumbling, and really key players that seemed like endgamers went home before she did. This was her opportunity to snag that win, especially because, as I already mentioned, Jane has been getting every single high placement. She's probably going to do well in a comedy challenge coming up. Kenya, God bless her heart, is not a comedian and is probably not going to snag another win or even have the possibility of getting another win. This was her opportunity to get it, and I wish that they had closed off her story and given that to her. So in case next week is her time to go or the week after that is her time to go, at least she got her high moment on Drag Race. Because why else did we drag her on for so long in the competition if not to give her a win where it counted? And so for me, Jane's win was a little unsatisfying here. Next week is the Please Remember That Alyssa Edwards is the only crowned Global All-Stars winner roast. Ru called her Alicia in episode 1 and was like, we gotta get her back in here so I can apologize. I love Alyssa down, but there are like 200 other queens that have never been brought back for any type of appearance on the show. Any one of them could have gotten roasted. I just would love to see someone else on the show because Alyssa's been making her rounds everywhere and it's great to see her. But there are so many other Drag Race alum that we've not seen come back. You know what they could have done? They could have done a roast of the hosts. They could have brought in Brooke and Nikki and maybe even like Lolita if she speaks enough English, or Rita. Would have been super fun. Maybe that would be better for a global or versus the world, but that's what I would have wanted. Anyways, what y'all think about the episode? Let me know in the comments below. Check out my Patreon if you would like to watch some of these videos early, or you can check out the Extravaganza Extra membership that is native to here on YouTube. Make sure to check out my Drag Race UK versus the World recap that will be coming up in just a few days. Thank you for watching. I will see y'all on the flip.